Are you looking for an experience that will grow your teenagers' faith, increase their leadership skills, and teach them the discernment to engage with the world all around them, all while taking them on the adventure of a lifetime? I mean, who isn't looking for that? If your teenager loves fun, adventure, and wants to grow in their faith and leadership this summer, then send them to Excel's Summer Leadership Camp. Excel's Summer Leadership Camp is a 12-day experience for passionate young leaders looking to discover God's truth, to discern wisely, and live wholeheartedly. Your teenager will embark on a transformative journey in the Blue Ridge Mountains, where they'll build lasting friendships in the context of community, embark on thrilling adventures like camping, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, and they will receive expert training and certifications in categories like CPR and wilderness first aid. Each aspect of the camp is woven together to help them learn to discover truth, to discern wisely, and take godly action in the context of real-life situations. To learn more or begin an application, go to theexcelcamp.org. That's theexcelcamp.org. Hurry, because summer is just around the corner.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Reclamation Podcast, where our goal is to help you reclaim good practices for faith and life. I'm Tony, and today is our bonus episode. What? No, I'm so excited to bring you today's bonus episode. I have the best podcast producer in the business, Caleb Stanton, and Caleb and I have come together today to put together this incredible bonus episode full of some of our favorite clips on how people answer the last question, the advice question that I always ask. If you're a longtime podcast listener, you know that at the end of every episode, I always love to ask the question, what advice would you give yourself when? Right? And so I do that every single time, and we've created a collection of answers from incredible guests, and we're so excited to really share this episode with you. As always, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. If you really enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. Let people know about what God is doing through this platform and through this community. Thank you guys so much for this journey to 100, and I cannot wait to see what and who God brings for the next 100. So without any further ado, here's our special bonus episode. Kicking us off, number 50, Rosie McKinney, Fight for Love. I loved this interview with Rosie. She has such a fresh take on how we fight for love, what that looks like, how to deal with things. Not only that, she's British, and what is a bonus episode if you don't have a British voice on the episode? Here's Rosie.
Well, so the last question I always love to ask people is, if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, and now specifically, I want to take you to day 8. Right? If you could go back there and you could talk to that Rosie right then, what's the one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Find support earlier, or try harder. I mean, I did try, but I would have just told myself that finding support will change everything. So I started groups. I was the one doing it, but I could have been more tenacious and got there quicker.
Okay, for 65, I had to go to a dear friend of mine, Sam Collier. Sam was on the podcast to talk about his book, A Greater Story. And then since coming on the podcast, it was announced that he would be the lead pastor of Hillsong Atlanta. I'm so excited for Sam and what God is doing through him. Here's Sam's response to our final question. What advice would you give yourself?
I do have one question left. It's the last question we always love to ask people. It's an advice question. To go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, but I get to pick the time. So, and I know your story pretty well. And so I want to take you to when you first started playing that keyboard, that Triton keyboard in your dad's 20-person church. If you could go back there and talk to that young man, what's the one piece of advice you would give yourself?
I would say, wow. You got me on that one. I would probably say to that young man, greater is coming. It may not look like what you think it's going to look like, but you don't have to wait to grab a hold of it. You can get it right now.
67, a dear friend and fellow Bengals fan, fan, Adam Weber. He wrote his book, Love Has a Name, and I love Adam's heart. You can hear it in his answer. You can hear the way he connects with people in such a deep, personal way.
Okay, last question we always love to ask people. It's an advice question. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, and in this particular case, I want to take you back to when you first planted the church that you're at now, Embrace. What's the one piece of advice that you would give that Adam so many years later?
Oof. I would say enjoy the journey and enjoy every single day. Up until the last 2 years, I've not been good to enjoy and to celebrate really the journey. I'm so driven and it's kind of what's next, and never really taken the time to say like, this is awesome. And so I think just enjoy the ride and just enjoy it. Like you don't have to, it's so cool to be a part of a movement of God, but just enjoy every part of it. And even enjoy, I think, these little things, these little random things. I wish I would have started doing them when I first became a pastor, because it's now become the highlight of my life.
Yeah. I
mean, literally, it's I'm constantly looking for random adventures just to follow, and just to that random cookie thing on my corner. I want to do more of that in my end of my life. I just want to just do a whole bunch of that, because those are the things that God moves in wonderful ways. As your church continues to grow, never step away from those small things where it's just you as a person, not the pastor of a large church. It's just you and your daughter maybe being following Jesus and loving like Jesus. Those are the things that are so sweet. So enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey.
Okay, now we're going to jump a little bit to episode number 75. Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the Dad Whisperer. She and I had such a good time talking about what to do for daughters, how to connect. It wasn't just good for dads, it was good for everyone. And I loved her answer to the final question.
The last question I always love to ask people is an advice question. And this time I'm going to ask you to give yourself some advice.
Okay.
Right. So I want to take you back to the beginning of the ABBA project, right before you get started on this ministry that's going to change your life forever. And God is downloading these scripts to you. If you could go back and talk to that younger version of yourself, what's the one thing that you would tell yourself as you get ready to embark on this new journey?
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
You're just springing that on me.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what makes it so good.
Right, because I'm the same way. I mean, you never know what's going to come because there's so many different ways to answer that. You know, this is what I thought of immediately when you said it, but it's really a lot like what I'm picturing is like Peter, where Jesus just said, you know, when he stepped out of the boat, Jesus just said, keep your eyes on me, then you won't drown. And I look back at the last decade. I mean, I wouldn't have ever imagined that this journey would have looked like this. Not only investing in dads and speaking at men's conferences, which I love way more than women's, by the way. I kind of don't like, I love being with men who are eager to learn, don't know where to go, ask for directions, and they come up and lots of them are crying, you know, because they are so stuck and heartbroken. But really, I look back at this journey that even led me to the man that I married, you know, for the first time, right? Just a couple months ago. But really, I look at this journey, Tony, and think I would have disqualified myself. Gone, I don't think you got the right girl, God. I don't know why. And so I would say to me, don't disqualify yourself. Step out of the boat, which you're doing. Run after Jesus. Just do what he says. Make amends. Say yes. That's what I would say. Say yes. I would say, because I did say yes that day. I'm like, okay. Like I didn't have a conversation with God. I just said, okay, I'll help turn the hearts of fathers. That's what I would say. Say yes to everything that comes to your spirit. Sometimes people say, how do I know that's God's voice and not my own thought? I would say 3 things. 1, it comes fast. Number 2, it's not what I was just thinking. And number 3, it always lines up with the word of God. That's my threefold way of knowing it was God's voice. So that was just the Dad Whisperer. The Abba Project. Bing, that was in. It wasn't what I was just thinking. And I said yes. So dads, when those quick things come, I need to go make amends. Oh, I need to reach out to that daughter. Oh, I think that one maybe needs some one-on-one time. Don't outthink it or overthink it. Just say yes.
All right, 89. 89 was one of those bucket list interviews. Darryl Strawberry. Darryl has an incredible story of recovery and redemption, and his answer to the very last question was simple but yet profound and important for all of us. So episode 89, Darryl Strawberry.
Okay, last question I always love to ask people. It's an advice question, to give yourself a piece of advice. Except I'm going to take you back to a very specific time in your life. I'm going to take you back to the day after you got to your sister's house and you went to go open that Bible and God told you not to open it. And the next morning, if you had the chance to go back and talk to that younger version of Darryl Strawberry, what would you say to him?
Why didn't you listen to your mother?
My wife heard that and she just went, yes.
It's just simple. It's simple for complicated people.
Yeah.
It's simple things that mother speaks into your life, because it takes nothing away from dad, because we're working and we're hard. We're hard pushed, driven to make, the family go right. But mother sits at home and she clearly gonna make points to you that you're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
How many times we've heard that?
Proverbs 31, man. Her value is worth far more than rubies.
It's far more. More. When you think about it, it's a mother's love for a kid. And I think a lot of times we underestimate that, but what I realized is she carried me for 9 months.
Yeah.
And I think we don't understand that attachment that they have is far greater than we can ever imagine. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't take anything away from dads. I want dads to understand this. It doesn't take anything away from them, because we have a different role to play. We have to become the head, not the knucklehead. So, we can't get in, if we're the knucklehead, we can't get into the head part of it.
Right.
So, so there's the mother there that's nurturing us as even when you're heathen life.
Yeah.
Mother's still telling you, you're not supposed to live like that. But she's like, my mother told me that. And she says, but I could tell you one thing. When she was dying, she said, I could tell you one thing. She said, God's going to get it out of you. I mean, she didn't prove to me anything. She just clearly told me, oh, I'm just going to keep praying for all y'all, and God's going to get it out of you.
Yeah.
And she was right.
And thank God that she was. Thank God.
Yes.
And thank you for being so generous with your time today, and for your testimony, and for your amazing witness. And I'm just praying that God continues to do amazing things through your ministry and this resource that I know is going to bless so many people.
Well, thanks for having me, Tony. I appreciate you, man. And it's just a message of hope for everybody, and just to encourage everybody with God, just keep it simple. Keep it simple with God. I think we go over the top trying to impress him. He's not impressed. He created you.
Okay, last and certainly not least, episode 91, prolific author and co-founder of Proverbs 31 Ministries, Sharon Jaynes. When you don't like your story, I love Sharon's voice in so many of our lives. Such a good thing. I thought it was important for all of us to hear. Here is Sharon Jaynes. Hey, one of the questions I always love to ask people as the last question is an advice question. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, and I want to pull you all the way back to just finishing your degree in dental hygienistry. I don't know if I said that right, but what's the one piece of advice that you would go back and give that younger version of yourself?
I would say just keep doing the next thing. Don't try to look at the big picture and what I'm going to be doing in 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Just do the next thing. And I think that's just good advice for all of us at any age. I know we like to plan. This is January. We like to look ahead and plan what the year's going to look like. But as 2020 showed us, that is kind of silly sometimes.
Amen.
But I would say that to that 20-year-old girl, to just do the next thing that God is calling me to do. We have no idea what doors God's going to open in the future. And everything he's doing, he is getting us ready. He's preparing us. Everything that's happening in our lives, he's preparing us for what he has prepared for us.
As always, friends, none of this would be possible without you. So thank you so much for the opportunity to connect, for the opportunity to do what I love, and for being a part of this journey with me. And I can't wait to see what happens next. As always, the best way to make sure you don't miss an episode, hit that subscribe button, leave a rating and review on iTunes, share this episode with a friend. I am so thankful for all of you. And next week, 101, we just keep rolling. Thank you guys so much. We'll connect soon.